When you have more money than you could ever spend in a single lifetime, the standard markers of success start to lose their appeal. A mansion in the hills or a garage full of sports cars is standard issue. To truly test the limits of extreme wealth, you have to buy something that cannot actually be bought. You have to purchase the untamed. Take Mike Tyson. At the height of his career, he spent $70,000 each to acquire 3 Royal Bengal tigers for his property. Or consider the king of pop. In the mid-1980s, Michael Jackson acquired Bubbles the chimpanzee from a Texas research facility, moving the primate directly into his private California estate. The problem here is biological. Millions of dollars can easily secure an apex predator, but all that capital cannot rewrite millions of years of evolutionary DNA. This chart shows the exact trajectory of these high-profile purchases. Forcing a wild animal into a domestic environment triggers a predictable 3-stage cycle. It begins with acquisition, moves into a costly illusion of control, and always ends in forced surrender. The immediate challenge of owning a wild animal is logistics. Celebrities try to solve this by building massive, highly engineered enclosures to contain what naturally wants to roam. This chart shows the financial scale of that containment. An average domestic dog costs a few $1,000s over its entire life. Feeding a full-grown apex predator requires a staggering logistical chain. Mike Tyson spent $200,000 every single year strictly on raw meat for his tigers. Beyond the sheer calorie count, the spatial footprint required for a predator scales exponentially. A typical backyard is immediately rendered useless. Actress Kirstie Alley housed 14 ring-tailed lemurs, building extensive enclosures on her California property, specifically because the West Coast climate mimics the animal's native habitat of Madagascar.
Rapper Vanilla Ice took it a step further, funding the construction of a custom-built mansion purely so his Australian wallaroo, Bucky, had a place to hop around in South Florida. But custom architecture and massive grocery bills do not equal domestication. These enormous investments are just highly expensive, temporary cages built around wild instincts. The second management strategy is entirely psychological. It's the anthropomorphic fallacy, the dangerous habit of treating apex predators like standard human family members. Actress Tippi Hedren fully integrated wild animals into her daily life, to the point where a 400-pound mature lion named Neil occasionally slept in the exact same bed as her young daughter, Melanie Griffith. Kristen Stewart adopted a similar approach, keeping several wild wolf-dog hybrids at her ranch. She treated the native predators with the casual familiarity of regular domestic house pets, giving them free run of the property. Michael Jackson even attempted to enforce human biological routines onto his chimpanzee, having Bubbles sleep in a baby crib inside his bedroom and teaching him to use his personal toilet. Projecting these domestic traits onto a wild animal is the exact point of failure. It creates a false sense of security that completely blinds the owner to the animal's deeply ingrained survival triggers, and eventually, that fragile illusion shatters. First, physical containment breaks down. Vanilla Ice learned this when a pet goat bashed open his backyard gate, allowing his wallaroo to escape and vanish into the Florida landscape for 2 weeks. Then comes the immediate physical danger. Paris Hilton carried her rainforest kinkajou everywhere, until the day the animal naturally lashed out. The resulting bite sent her to the emergency room for wound cleaning and a tetanus shot. The stakes rise significantly with larger predators. Melanie Griffith's childhood proximity to wild cats culminated when on Visette, where a lion bit her so severely she required 50 stitches. Affection quickly turns into active paranoia. Actor Nicolas Cage spent $270,000 on 2 albino king cobras. To survive keeping them in his Hollywood home, he had to keep lethal snake antivenom near his person at all times. None of these attacks or escapes are accidents. They are the inevitable result of an animal functioning exactly as its biology demands when trapped in an unnatural space. This escalating friction forces an absolute breaking point. The law often intervenes first. Mike Tyson was forced to surrender his 3 Bengal tigers to a sanctuary in Colorado because he lacked the necessary licenses to legally house them. Sometimes it's the community.
Nicolas Cage had to pack up his deadly cobras and donate them to a zoo when his terrified neighbors found out about the reptiles and threatened him with crippling lawsuits. But most often, it comes down to basic safety. Michael Jackson's deep bond with Bubbles ended in 2003. The chimpanzee had grown aggressive, forcing Jackson to permanently relocate him to an ape sanctuary over fears the primate would attack his newborn child. A massive bank account can temporarily extract an animal from the wild, but because no amount of money can extract the wild from the animal, the exotic pet experiment only has one biological conclusion: surrender.